Okay, we gotta get ready here. Well, for coming, my name is Jim Benson. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Oklahoma County Planning Commission. I'm going to call the order of the regularly scheduled meeting, June 15th at 1:30, that was filed June 9th with County Clerk. Second part of the agenda is the roll call, please, Tyler.
Members of the Oklahoma County Planning Commission is Ms. Irene Martin.
Here.
Mr. David Ritchie.
Here.
Mr. James Benson.
Here.
Mr. David Martin. And Commissioner Ray Vaughn. We have a quorum.
We'll now move to item number 4, which is approval of minutes of the previous meeting, May 18th, 2017. Do we have any additions or corrections? If not, do we have a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to accept.
I second it.
Excuse me, and that was my error. It'd be a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second it.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Martin.
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie.
Yes.
Mr. Benson.
Yes.
Mr. Martin. And Commissioner Vaughn.
Aye.
We're now to agenda number 5, which is a deferred item. Discussion and possible action to approve, deny the preliminary plat of Meadows at MacArthur Park, PP 2015-01. Tyler?
Yes, we've got a letter much earlier during the week. They're asking to defer this item additional 2 months. They've gotten quite a bit accomplished on their plans, but they're having some problems with the last documents on pipelines and things like that. And they asked that, they asked that we defer it 2 more months.
Do we have someone here to represent them? Okay, just come up and state your name, and the rules state that we have somebody to represent them.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Steve Rollins, ARC Engineering Consultants, 135 Deer Creek Road, representing the applicant. And as Tyler said, we're getting very close, making progress, but we have had a few holdups getting sanitary sewer reviewed and approved, but the plans have been submitted for final approval. They just haven't been actually final approved yet. And then paving and storm sewer plans will be submitted within the next few days, and hopefully those will be near complete and approved as well. So we asked for a couple more months to get that taken care of and done.
Do we have any other questions of Mr. Rollins? If not, do I have a motion to approve or deny the deferral request to the regularly scheduled meeting on August?
I'll make a motion to defer.
Yes. Do we have a second?
I'll second it. The deferral is for 2 months.
2 months, which would be to the August meeting. We have a motion, a second. Do we have any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Martin.
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie.
Yes.
Mr. Benson.
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn.
Aye.
We're now to agenda item number 6, discussion and possible action to approve or deny the final plat of Addington Farms, Section 1, FP 2017-01. Staff report. It should have been in our packet, and it's...
You should have received it in the packet. I just got my notes out of order. Addington Farms, Section 1. This is the final plat for this Addington Farms. If the name is not familiar, we've been switching around on the names on this particular plat. I believe it started out as States of Crawford Creek, if it remind you of that. But this is the final stage. The plat is completed. I have a bond that they've submitted to us to take care of maintenance for the next 2 years, and everything seems to be in place for this plat.
Any questions of Tyler? Do we have anyone here to speak for this proposition? If you'd please state your name and address for our clerk.
Good afternoon, Jason Spencer with Crafts and Toll, 300 Point Parkway Boulevard, Yukon, Oklahoma, here on behalf of the applicant. So what we've got is the final plat of Addington Farms, and it's 44 lots on 56 acres. It conforms to the PUD zoning, conforms to the approved preliminary plat. The improvements have been put in. It's our understanding those have been accepted by the engineering, and we would ask for your approval. We'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here who would like to speak against this proposition? Hearing none, I will take a motion to approve or deny item number, we gotta get back here, item number 6.
I make a motion that we approve final plat for Addington Farms, FP 2017-01.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second, any additional discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Benson?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
We're now moved to agenda item number 7, which is discussion and possible action to review past special use permits issued on properties and whether the conditions imposed upon the issuance of the permit or the standards for a special use permit have not been satisfied, and or whether the use has become incompatible with other uses of land within or without the zoning district. The following are the Board of County Commissioners resolutions to be discussed. A, Resolution 6685. Tyler?
This is a Resolution 6685. It was zoned for a mobile home park, and this particular mobile home is currently under development, mobile home park. The plans have all been submitted and been approved by the board, by the engineering office, and we're ready to roll. This was zoned back in '85, as you see. But this is 2017. This is one of the ones that's been in place for a long time, and the owners of the property has stepped forth to develop it.
So, Madam Attorney, do we need a motion, or do we just let this stand? It's been proved, and they're doing it just a little later than one might have expected. We can't.
I think that, and you've done this is your third round, I believe,
Yes.
in reviewing these. I think you've, your job here is fact-finding on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners. And so, your motion would include your finding as to whether or not the special use permit standards have been met in this instance. And then you would recommend either action or no action by the Board of County Commissioners. But if you're recommending that they don't touch it, then you would recommend no action be taken.
So do we have any more discussion on this, or if not, do we have anyone here to speak for or against this? Please state your name and address for the clerk.
As Chairman, Dennis Fox, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant. As Tyler indicated, we have been issued a permit. We have dirt work started. We spent over $250,000 in regard to all the prep. We have state permits, county permits, and we are proceeding. So we'd ask you to do a recommendation of leaving this in place.
Thank you very much. Well, wait a minute, any questions of Mr. Box? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody here to speak against this proposition? Please come forward. Once again, identify yourself.
My name is Greg Ripple. I live at 2200 Chiswick Road, Edmond, Oklahoma. My property is directly adjacent to this proposed development. If you bear with me, I have a few comments I'd like to make concerning the special use permit, and I'll be as brief as possible. Early on in this situation, it became obvious to me that at some point in time a lawsuit was going to be issued on my behalf in fighting this proposed development. I then went about starting an investigation into the situation regarding this special use permit and what the developer was planning to do here. I've had numerous conversations with consulting engineers, attorneys. I've had discussions with Commissioner Vaughn, Mr. Trumbo. I've also spoken with people at the DEQ concerning what is being proposed here. The biggest problem amongst the many problems that we have here is primarily the sewage problem. The original special use permit, if you've read it, it states here in bold language, approval was based upon contingent conditions being met, which included an approved Oklahoma State Health Sewage Treatment Plan. As of 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, no such plan has been submitted to DEQ. The only thing that they've heard from this developer is they were asking for the opportunity to look at an alternative on-site sewage proposal for this rather than the sewage treatment facility that was mentioned specifically in this special use permit. So with that in mind, I've started tracking this thing down, and one of the first things that popped up on the radar was that this developer has an addition just across Waterloo in Logan County, where they're using this, what is referred to as an alternative experimental on-site sewage disposal system, which is basically you have a septic tank hooked to 5 trailer homes. You create a drip field in which numerous hoses are put out through that drip field to allow gray water effluent to seep out into the area and soak into the ground. Once I discovered that this was here, I went out and looked at it myself. It was a muddy, swampy mess. I immediately went to DEQ to question them about their approval of this on-site system. They went out, checked it out, discovered that the developer had not fully developed the drip fields, had left much of it uncovered. They instructed them to correct that situation. Now, in the last 2 months, they have also erected gray water spray heads, which are not allowed under their plan, and they are currently in non-compliance with the DEQ on this on-site sewage disposal system. Having looked at that, I come back over to the Summerfield project, which they're proposing. If you've looked at this, you can see that it's very densely packed, 5 trailer houses per septic system. In many cases, the drip fields are back to back. I'm a geologist by training. I know quite a bit about soils as well. I'm very sure that the soil in this area will not pass soil testing or permeability tests. They've brought up this alternative plan in lieu of doing the sewage treatment facility that the special use permit talks about. So basically what we're gonna have if this alternative plan is approved by DEQ, and I'm not sure it's going to be, the effluent essentially lays on the surface. It doesn't seep into the ground. It doesn't have that kind of permeability. So what's going to happen is every time it rains, first of all, the sewage system won't work when the ground is wet. The effluent will be washed off of this site into adjacent property and also into the stormwater retention structures. And the final thing I would mention about this, as far as the residents, talking about my concerns, talking about the residents who will live in this facility, these lots that the 5 trailers will be on are 140 feet deep. Given the setback from the street and the parking that's required, they'll have about 110 feet to put a trailer in there. The drip field for the septic system is 30 feet. Your average trailer house is somewhere in the range of 75 to 80 feet long. These trailers will virtually be sitting in the drip field of the septic system. And frankly, if I was going to live there, seeing the muddy, swampy mess that we see at the Brighton subdivision over in Logan County, I can't imagine that anybody's going to want to live here. Bottom line on this development is going to affect this part of Oklahoma County for many years. Now, obviously, there's other issues that we can talk about that that are not germane to what we're talking about here today. But many of the people I've talked with have already mentioned that this development is not in line with the master plan for this part of Oklahoma County. There are already large $500,000 homes adjacent to this property to the west and to the south that this will directly affect. My property in particular will get most of the water that washes off of this site. This needs to be done right. This is so important to this area. This could dominate the development of this area for many years to come. And I do not believe that the developer of this project should be driving the bus on this. This needs oversight. This needs to be carefully done and done right. So what I'm asking of this board today is I'm asking you to rescind this special use permit.
We really can't do that. We can recommend to the county commissioner.
Why I say that is they're already on the ground out there doing work right now. There's bulldozers out there. There's workmen out there. They don't even have the bond in to do any construction work. But most importantly, they do not have an approved sewage disposal system for this site. DEQ has nothing from them. There's been the testing for a site like this is very rigorous, three holes per lot, soil testing and permeability tests, which I don't think that they'll pass. Now, if you let them proceed with construction, eventually we're going to get to some point where we've done so much work, and if you come back and you get denied from DEQ on this sewage alternative system that they're proposing to do, they're going to come back and say, well, we've already spent all this money, you can't make us put in a sewage system now. So now's the time that I feel like you all need to step up and react to this. If you're not able to rescind the special use permit, at the very least, you need to hold them to the letter of the special use permit, which requires an approved sewage disposal system from the DEQ. And in my opinion, all work should be suspended until such time as the sewage disposal plan is either approved or disapproved.
Could you show us on the map where your property is, please? Thank you.
I touched it, sorry.
Any questions?
What is the,
There it is. So the acreage approved with the special use permit? Is that the yellow boundary?
Yes.
And that's how many acres?
Approximately 35.
40 acres. Okay. And your conversations with the property owner have been about what? Have you had conversations?
No, actually, when the first public hearing was held on this, some of you may recall, the day before the hearing, we were sent an email by the developer that they were going to defer the matter, knowing full well that 5-day limitation for deferments before these meetings. And they were simply an attempt to keep us from coming to the first public meeting. Since that time, homeowners have contacted Johnson & Associates and were told that no, we're not putting in mobile homes, we're going to build houses, which was disingenuous at best, because the special use permit only allows a mobile home park. And like I said, they're also in violation of their DEQ policy in the other development using this alternative drip field. And like I said, they're doing work and they still don't have a bond on record with Oklahoma County to be doing any work. So I'm getting the feeling that this developer is going to push the envelope as fast and as hard as they can to get the permits that they require and get the work done prior to approval of a sewage disposal system for this facility. This is a 200-unit facility, closely packed. Sewage is going to be a problem, and it's going to be a big problem. And from what I've seen, I've got pictures of what they've done over at Brighton. It's a muddy, swampy mess that smells. This is even denser than what's at Brighton. It's going to be a mess, and this needs to be done right before any more work is
So what
done.
work has been done?
They moved a bulldozer in last Friday. They started pushing dirt on Tuesday. They've cut 2 entrance points onto Waterloo Road. They've knocked down a few trees, and now they've got a crew out there putting up the erosion control structures along the property line. But as of 7:30 this morning, the bulldozer was out there pushing dirt. And honestly, I think this is way premature for them to be able to do any work on this site.
Reflective to our council, the DEQ is totally independent of this board, and on the sewage, that's between them and the developer and yourself. Am I correct?
DEQ is independent from the county, yes, but you can turn to Eric or Stacy with regard to their review of anything submitted by the developer or any response by DEQ. If they have anything, I don't know what they have or haven't.
I spoke with Matt Pace, the DEQ, yesterday. They have not received anything from the developer concerning the waste disposal. And like I said, it's specifically spelled out in this special use permit that there has to be an approved sewage disposal plan for this project. This whole thing is contingent, and that's the word. Approval was based upon contingent conditions being met, which included an approved Oklahoma State Health Sewage Treatment Plan. And the minutes of this meeting show quite clearly that the intent of the commission in 1985 was for there to be a sewage treatment facility. And in talking with legal counsel and with engineers that have been involved in litigation, they've told me that when they've read this, that 99% of the time, if this goes to court, the court will look at those minutes and see that that was the intent of that commission at that time, and will vote in favor of a sewage treatment facility being constructed, because that was the intent of the special use permit.
Actually, have we not gotten a bond from them?
You're talking about an erosion control bond.
Okay.
And we will get those before they can put a trailer out there. That before a building permit can be issued.
Okay, I mean, I was just looking at points of fact here.
the things that we really have, total jurisdiction over being the roads and the stormwater drainage, we've extensively worked with the developer's engineer for months and months, getting that the best we can get it, making sure the drainage is as Mother Nature intended and so forth. As far as water and sewer systems go, that's really not our jurisdiction, the ODEQ. We just asked them for a written document, and my staff told me we have a written document from the DEQ. That's why we let things go forward. But I'd like to hear from the developer's engineer as to what's being left out, because he has different information.
According to the man at DEQ, he told me that what they have is an approval to look at the alternative waste system. They do not have any approval from DEQ. They have not conducted any soil tests. They have not done any permeability tests, which are all required by DEQ before they get an approved plan. And none of this has been done yet. And that's as of 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon.
Are there any more questions of this gentleman? Okay, then I think we would allow Mr. Box to come back and address some of his concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Johnson's here. He's the engineer of records that's been working with your staff, and we do have a permit that's been issued. He'll read into the record for you.
Tim Johnson with Johnson & Associates. It actually is not a letter or permit number. It is a plan that the DEQ requires us to provide to them that shows the methods and means, and it was signed in October 26th of last year, 2016, by Matt Pace, accepting the plan as submitted. And your staff has a copy of that. And it shows the method of disposal and the pretreatment, and it's basically an aerobic system. So, and with regard to the first things we do when we begin construction is put up erosion control, because that's what has to be met. The erosion control permit by the DEQ has been issued and been provided to the city as well, along with an erosion control plan that was part of our paving plans that were approved by the county a couple weeks ago. So we've followed with the staff religiously on this for a number of months, working through questions and comments and concerns. We spent a lot of time on the drainage because of the concerns of the downstream. We've oversized the detention pond facility that will be just slightly upstream of the gentleman's property, to be sure that as we discharge this water, it does not get released at any higher rate than it does historically today. And we have a second detention pond on the north side of the property, because the property does not all drain his direction. Most of it drains north. And if there's any other questions.
And your letter is from Matt Pace, the October 26th?
Yeah, he signed the actual plan that was submitted, and that's what your staff has. They have a
What
standard.
do they call it? What do they call that? A plan?
It's a septic design plan.
Okay.
And basically, they require us to put a statement that the DEQ writes on a plan, which is our site plan,
Okay.
so that they can sign the actual plan that will be in the field. And that's how they deal with final plats as well. So.
Well, I'm confused because didn't we hear a while ago that Matt Pace said nothing had been done?
Yep.
Was that what was stated?
Yeah, that's what I heard. But he signed it last October.
We have his signature on file, right, Mary?
I think we have then someone else who'd like to address this. Would you state your name and address for the clerk, please?
David Malacco, MLEKO, 2014, Chiswick. I live in Edinburgh Point, which is adjacent. I've been before you previously. When this originally came up in '85, there's 4 pages of dissertation back and forth, and at best a marginal business decision was made by the board. Now that we go from 85 to 17, and trust me, the land out there has changed, the development has changed. But we're going to go back to 85 and do what was marginally approved then. Number 2, it isn't part of the special use permit, but the understanding was that certain other things would be done. Planting trees, Lombardy trees, 10-foot intervals, also reflected that, you're gonna have, because this is a mobile home park, a safety place for people to go. Fencing, opaque fencing, there is nothing on the sheet that's been submitted, to my understanding, where any of that has been addressed. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead, they aren't gonna have to do any of those things, because there's no place on here that I see unless I'm misinterpreting it. And I think that's wrong. Also, at a previous meeting, because we're trying to clean up the mess where the planning commission didn't do due diligence and get rid of all of these old permits, which I thank Mr. Vaughn for finally putting a stick to somebody to get these wiped out. But to take it one step further, there needs to be a sunset clause on all special use permits, this one included. Because if they don't perk the property, or if for whatever reason they go bankrupt, I don't care what the reason is, we're gonna let this go on and on and on some more? I don't think so. That's not right, that's not good business. I also request that the recommendation going forward to the planning commissioners be that at least this be put on hold until further investigation can be made in reference to the sewage treatment plant. Thank you.
Wait a minute, any more questions of this gentleman? Thank you very much. Is there anybody else who would like to speak for or against this proposal and or answer some of his concerns?
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to respond to, the permit that was approved in '85, any conditions that went along with that permit, we will comply with. We think that's the law, and we think we need to. The other side of it is, that permit's in effect, and we have relied on that permit, and we have gotten permits based on that permit, so we think we should be able to proceed on. But any of the conditions he talked about that are part of that special permit, then we'll be required to comply with. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Box, ask a question. If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Certainly.
Just out of curiosity, it doesn't apply to this case. Oklahoma City, do they have a limit on the time that a special use permit can be in existence without development taking place?
They did have that requirement in PUDs, and they took it out. Edmond does have that requirement, as you know. Oklahoma City found that it was a problem, and so that has been taken out. But you know, it's kind of like a variance. A variance runs with the land, and so once it's issued, unless there is a time clause, then I think you're entitled to proceed on.
Oh, I agree. I think council agrees.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question to the legal counsel on that. Does the planning commission have the authority right now to rescind? We don't, do we?
On this property?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
No, they relied on that permit that was issued in 1985. They acted on it. They've received permits upon that permit.
Right.
It's not something you could rescind, in my opinion, no.
Nor we
Yeah,
send them recommendation, but I mean, you don't think that...
Well, it's empty.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I can see that I find troubling, but was the sewer issue, or the sewage issue. But staff has found a document approved by DEQ. I'm trying to pull on my memory, but I thought that there was some site screening promised and addressed at a prior meeting. Maybe that could be brought up again, but...
Yeah, the conditions that were discussed in '85 dealt with screening, dealt with some trees, dealt with some storm sewer cellar issues, and we'll comply with all of them.
Have these two gentlemen been given your documentation of what you plan to do? I mean,
Nope.
we go back to here is the plan, here's what was approved. I think they need to have a copy of that, because we don't right now, we're just listening to something that happened a long time ago.
I think that's a very good point, Mr. Chairman. When you all are finished with us, we will attempt to talk to them out of chambers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I want to read this into the record for you. It says the Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality certifies that this mobile home park is approved for lot-specific alternative on-site sewage treatment systems, signed by Matt Payne, 10/26/16.
16.
For this location. So I don't know, maybe he forgot when he was talking to this gentleman, I don't know.
I've talked with Matt Pace on many occasions about this. He says in order to receive an approved sewage disposal plan, and he cited the guidelines from DEQ, what is required to receive an approved plan is site testing, soil testing, permeability tests, in order for an approved sewage plan to be given by DEQ. What he says this document was approval for them to investigate the use of this alternative system. It's how Matt Pace describes it to me.
You recognize that?
Yes, I have a copy of this document. Yes.
I'm assuming then that they would have to do a perk test for each lot, no different than anyone else in a subdivision.
3 holes per lot.
And certain lots may not get a permit. They may just remain vacant if they can't perk, but if the next lot over can perk, then they'll get their permit. That's not unusual in our industry. So they can't go out there and perk every one of these lots in advance of selling them.
Thank you. Is there any more discussion or questions? If so, I think the motion we would have, the choice would be either to suggest to the county commissioners no action, or to rescind the action.
Or what?
Rescind.
Or rescind. Oh, okay, on a recommendation.
I mean, we would need a recommendation in a motion form for one member of the board.
Okay, I will make a motion that the planning commission recommends that resolution 66-85 remain in place and not, no action taken by the commission.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, and on this, do we have any more discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Benson?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
Thank you. We now go to agenda item 7B, resolution number 2289, approved May 18th, 1889. Staff, please.
Yes, this is a land that was authorizing a telephone communications tower to be put in place. That tower is in place, and the current property owners have submitted a letter asking that you allow that to remain in place.
Once again, they're asking us to take no action.
It appears to be consistent with the original permit.
So do we have anyone here to speak for keeping the tower? Okay, do we have anyone here against the keeping of the tower? Give Tyler a moment.
What is it? The letter for what? What?
Yes, we have a motion.
I'll make a motion that, no action be taken on resolution number 122-89.
Okay, we recommend
We're recommending to the Board of County Commissioners that no action be taken on resolution 122-89. Is that correct?
I'll second it.
we have a motion and a second. Do we have any more discussion?
Mr. Ritchie, can you second it?
I second it.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Morgan?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Benson?
Yes.
Mr. Morgan?
Yes.
And Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
We now go to 7C, Resolution 144-71, approved October 11th, 971. Staff.
Yes, this, mobile home park is in place as described. It currently exists. I don't have a letter or anything from the owner, but we have no communications, from them at all. They received a certified letter.
I had a question asked of me since that one's out near our home. Is there an easement that adjoins that property, a 30-foot easement?
Roadway easement or
Utility easement?
I don't know, we can take a look at it and see, but unless you ask the question, we don't look at it.
Oh, well, it was just a question
It's always
that
been
was
in
asked
existence
me, and
probably 20 years,
I couldn't answer it either, so I,
Who's asking the question?
I'm sorry, I didn't
Oh,
hear.
who's asking the question? You are, right?
Yes. It was just asked of me.
Someone asked you.
Asked me, yes, a question about it because of some construction to the south of it.
Okay. Well, we have to take a look. We don't know.
Just information's all I need.
Yeah, well, we can look it up when we go back to the office.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the question I have is, why are these three properties listed here? Was there some question about whether or not their permit was in use?
We decided months ago that we would review all special use permits.
Okay.
These are all, no matter whether they are in place or not.
And these are all being used as advertised.
Okay, okay.
So again, do we have anyone here to speak for this or against it? If not, I'll ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we can take no action.
I make a motion that we recommend to the county commissioners that they take no action. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Benson?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn.
Aye.
We now move to seven D.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'm sorry, may I
Yes.
get your attention for just a second? I apologize, but I have to leave for a medical treatment this afternoon, so I won't be able to take part in the rest of the meeting, but
But thank
I wish you well.
Thank you for coming and giving your expertise.
Thank you.
We're now to 7D, resolution number 372, -82, approved December 20th, 1982. Once again, this is being used to describe, staff?
Yes, it is in place.
Any discussion or anyone here wishing to talk for or against this? If not, I would accept a motion.
I make a motion that we recommend to the Board of County Commissioners that no action be taken.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Benson?
Yes.
And Mr. Martin?
Yes.
We now move to 7E, resolution 320-82, approved November 1st, 1982, and then being used as described.
Yes. It exists.
Okay, do we have anyone here who would like to speak for or against this proposition? Please again give your name and address for the court clerk here.
Mel Myers and Victoria Myers. We live on the property, and the people are like our family. We have 47 people. They're mostly elderly, and we have conformed to all of the things that EEQ has required. In fact, the trainer that trains the people have brought them out to the pond and said, this is the way a pond should look. So we're very proud of our park, and we want to continue with taking care of our tenants.
Any questions?
Yeah, I've got a question. At your park, how do you handle your sewage?
I'm sorry, what?
How do you handle your sewage? Is it through a septic system
No,
or aerobic?
It's a pond. It's a retention pond, and we have about 6 manholes that have 6-inch sewer lines going to the pond that has the 8-inch going into the pond itself.
Okay.
It was built in June the 6th of 82. There's the plans on it.
So what, let me ask staff, what's the correct terminology on that type of system? Lagoon. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's fenced lagoon.
And how many homes are you serving?
There are 47 tenants. 43 now.
Okay. Okay. Well, we appreciate the good work you're doing.
Okay, any other?
Invite any of you to come out and see our park. We don't have an Oklahoma trailer park. We have a mobile home park.
Okay. Thank you very much, then. If there are no other questions.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we've got to make sure there's no one here to speak against. Okay, I'll take the motion.
We recommend to the Board of County Commissioners that no action be taken on resolution 320-82.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Benson?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
We're now to agenda item number 8, discussion and possible action to approve, deny a zoning change from AA Agricultural and Rural Residential District to CG Urban General Commercial and District Office, Z 2017-02. Staff report.
Yes, this is an item that you saw 90 days ago, same area. The applicant has decided that he would forego the gas station off of this particular property and go on with the saloon and hotel. He's back after his 90-day cooling off period, I'd say, with a request that the zoning be changed. He is present.
Would you like to speak? You can give your name and address so we can have the minutes correct.
My name is Bill Hofgardner, 19501 East Hampton Road in Luther, Oklahoma. I just, think the community needs it out there. A dance hall, the closest one around is 28 miles away to go actually dancing. I mean, there's a lot of drinking establishments, but no place to go dancing. And I'd like to see it changed. It's going to be a lot of revenue in for the schools and for the fire department if it gets passed. And I'd just like to get it built.
Any questions?
Have you convinced your neighbors yet?
Yeah, I haven't talked to the neighbors, but I will, because the last time I was up here, I did not know that when you said anybody got any questions, that I could say anything. So whenever they come up here and say something about...
Well, as you saw, we'll allow a dialogue here. We're a fact-finding commission.
Well, it's like one of the residents brought up, well, there'd be too much traffic coming down my neighborhood then. Well, I will put up a barricade, or not, block them off, but put a sign that says, local traffic only, no bar traffic beyond this point, and then have an arrow pointing which way the bar could go. Somebody else brought up people walking on the property and stuff like this. I will put up a fence if necessary on the north and west side to prevent that. And, anybody else complains, I'll just answer the question as they come up.
Any questions, or maybe the same comment we had last time?
Are you looking at me?
Well, yes, I think you were kind of specific last time.
Yes, the problem with this proposal, in my opinion, is that if you were to grant a zoning change to commercial and office district in the middle of a residential area, you would be in effect spot zoning. Also...
Did you say spot zoning?
Yes,
okay.
Correct, spot zoning. And spot zoning, unfortunately, can create an unfortunate precedent. And prior commissions have had to suffer the consequences of spot zoning decisions. Additionally, your new fact, a big fact, is the new turnpike. And that would possibly bring in and add reason for the county to amend its zoning, but via not spot zoning, but its master plan. So it can look at the whole area and decide where it wants its commercial and where it wants its residential. I believe that was my recommendation last time.
Any more questions of Mr. Hofgardner?
Well, I mean, as you can see where my property is, it's not in the neighborhood, it's out on a main street, so, I mean, the residents can pass by me, but I will not be passing any residents except for the one that's on the west side of me. And as far as the spot zoning or whatever, the turnpike's gonna be in within 5 years anyway, and there's gonna be a lot of people building in and around that, turnpike.
But where yet, we just don't know. That's the issue.
Mr. Chairman, can staff remind me, was this taken up 90 days ago? I was at the meeting.
Yes.
Okay. So my question, sir, is what has changed on this proposal?
Last time I come up here, it was me by myself and like 5 neighbors saying no, they didn't want it. But now I'm a little bit smarter, so I brought more people with me, and you asked was there anybody else for the
Yes, we will ask that
bar
question.
stall, and so I brought more people that are for it.
Okay.
Some are residents around there, some are people who just want to go dancing and stuff like this, and some are just good friends, a lot of family that want to see it happen.
I just was curious about what changed, so I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And just because I'm new at this, only 7 years. Is there any, okay, I can't think of the right word. Is there any requirement for standing on people who would talk to this? Need to be county residents or?
Well, the people formally noticed, are people within a certain distance, so you can measure and hear the effect of abutting and nearby property owners on their property. I'm not aware of any rule that would forbid anyone from speaking in a public meeting, though.
Okay.
You can put time limitations as long as you
Well,
spread that out.
so far everybody's been very, very good about that, and everybody needs to get home for dinner. Okay, is there anyone else any more questions? If not, anyone else who would like to speak for this proposition? Once again, name and address, please.
My name is Christina Hofgardner.
You can pull right down if you wish.
Sorry, I have laryngitis. I won't be able to hear me very well. But I live at 19501 East Hebner, Luther, Oklahoma, 73054. Same residence. Born and raised in Luther. We don't really have a lot out there. And you spoke about not having things around residential. We have a dollar store that literally went in less than 5 miles away. And then they're going to be putting it on queue, I guess. But, like, the whole point is, if we want to go anywhere to have any sort of extracurricular fun or activity once you get older, you have to go, like my dad said, like 30 minutes away. And I feel like it would bring so much more growth economically and population-wise to our town and for the better. Like the termites coming in, there is going to be buildings put up around the residential area within the next 5 years anyways. So it's always been his dream donut dance hall. That's what he does. That's his passion. He had his own business growing up, or family business. He worked with my grandpa. He stuck with that his whole life. And now he's getting older. It's manual labor in the roofing business. I feel like now it's his chance to be with his grandbabies and live the life that he deserves. He's hard worked all his life. And this would be an opportunity for him to do what he loves to do while also still being close to home so we can keep an eye on him. Because I love him to death. He's my dad. So, I don't know what else I can say. I know the surrounding neighborhood is probably going to be noise and lame, but he's thought all of that stuff through on his plans between, like, the thick concrete around the building to make it soundproof. So that won't be an issue. I mean, it's just going to bring in lots of different things. I enjoy dancing. I did square dancing. I've done you name it, I've done it, ballroom dancing, and I just enjoy it. I know we have a yoga place there. We can bring people to do Pilates. It would just, during the day, open up a lot more things for people to be able to come and do around our neighborhood.
Thank you. Any questions? Do we have anyone else speaking for the proposition?
My name is Jessica Hofgardner. I live at 19501 East Hefner Road, and that's in Luther. Just like my sister said, there is nothing out in Luther to do as far as entertainment for the teens growing up. I think a dance hall saloon would be a great benefit out in that area because it gives somebody something to do versus getting into trouble. I think it'll be a safe place for the kids to come out. It'll be well secured. We'll make sure the noise is down. We'll keep traffic to a minimal. We're just looking for somewhere for the kids to go where they have somewhere to hang out, where it's safe for them. We'll also make it family-oriented. Some days where you can bring your kids in, make it a pool hall, possibly like during the day, eventually, and then, just something for the kids out in the area to do because, like we said, there is nothing for them to do out in that area. So that's just what we're looking for, is somewhere safe for the kids to go and hang out.
Can I ask a question? How do y'all distinguish between a recreation center and a dance hall / saloon? Okay?
A recreational, I would say, would be more like for weddings or like parties. The saloon.
A recreation center?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you mentioned someplace for kids to recreate.
Right, like hanging out, like.
And the kids in Luther hang out at dance halls and saloons?
No, because we don't have one. There's not one out in that area right now.
Okay.
But eventually, that's what we're hoping, to get them into the dance hall so they have something out there to do. Because there is nothing. Because that's where I grew up and there wasn't anything. We had a little pool hall that was open a couple of years, but other than that, there really wasn't anything other than going out to a pond or going to a river or the lake. There wasn't anything out that way for us to do.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I was understanding y'all's intent.
But your intent with, well, I need to talk to.
I have one question for you. Alcohol, will it be sold there?
We're looking beer.
The alcohol will not be sold there when the kids are present. I mean, there'll be certain days for family days and stuff like that, there will be no alcohol on those days. So there will be alcohol on like Fridays and Saturday nights.
And at that time, that limits the age of people coming in.
Right.
Okay, that was my question too.
Yeah, the age of it's actually 21, there's a couple of bars around that you can get in at 18, but you can't drink. And, I'm gonna try for that right there once I get approved to build the building.
Okay, any other questions? Anyone else to speak for the proposition?
Hi, my name is Chase Banks. My address is 14875 Southeast 25th Street, Choctaw, Oklahoma. I'm a friend of Bill's. I understand what the issue is, but if you polled the area, there are a lot of people that are going to go to a dance hall, to a bar. They're going to have to travel farther. They don't have anything in that area, and this is a chance to actually add something productive to the area, and Bill has stated many times that he is more than willing to adhere to the neighbors' complaints and do his best to adjust and make everyone happy as best he can. This is something that I understand it's not 5 years later right now, but these things will be there. And this is the kind of person you want running those kind of institutions. Thank you.
Any questions? Anybody else to speak for the proposition?
Hi, my name is Natalie Farmer. I live at 18987 East Wilshire, and that's in Jones, Oklahoma. It's about a mile, I guess that would be back south from where he is talking about putting, excuse me. Sorry, I didn't know I was going to be speaking today, so I don't even look right. I shouldn't even, so just ignore the dumb stuff I say. But like them, there are going to be things coming out that way here very shortly. He's a small business, and small businesses deserve a chance just like the big businesses do. And if you don't let him have a chance to do it, they're going to buy up the land. They're going to put stuff that they really don't want out there, and he's going to do everything possible to make sure, and even for the safety, he's going to have security. He's going to have people out there that's going to take care if people do drink too much. If they get in the car, he's not going to allow that. I mean, he won't even allow me to do that when I've been drinking, you know, so I know he won't do that to strangers. But also, being from Jones, there's nothing there either. I mean, you're talking about all these little surrounding areas that have nowhere to go out there. And if they want to go somewhere, they have to go like 30 miles, like toward Moore or out by the Stillwater area to just find a place that's even like this. Or just go to a small bar where half the time I don't even want to get out at most of them. So it will be clean, it will be safe, he will have lighting. I mean, anything concerns you have, he will take care of. The homeowners and everything around there, you know, there's not a lot of homes, so it will be easy to block off the noise, or he's going to provide for good parking where they won't be near their yards. I mean, he's trying everything he can to get this because it is his dream. And like I said from the beginning, there's going to be other people coming out there soon that's going to buy it up, no telling what we might have out there. And I'd rather see a small business. It may not be appropriate for what they see as appropriate out there, but he's going to give it his all to ensure that everything will be safe and good for the neighborhood. And I would love a chance to go somewhere just to get away from my husband for an hour or two that I don't have to drive across country to get to. So that's really all I have to say, so thank you for your time.
Any more questions? Thank you very much. Once again, anybody to speak for the proposition?
Hi, Hi, my name is Hannah Banks, and I live at 14875 South 25th Street in Choctaw, Oklahoma. To kind of answer your question about the recreational, I guess they really see this hall as being something more than just a saloon. Something that maybe we could contribute during the day, like she mentioned, yoga, pool hall. You know, of course there would be time limits as far as when the alcohol is sold, or there would be regulations and safety put in place for things of that nature. So this is just, it can be more than just a dance hall. This can be a place for people to go, have events, weddings, you know, just the ideas that we have for this place, that he has for this place, are potentially endless, you know. Again, there really isn't a lot out there to do. I really think that this would be a great opportunity for him and the community, so thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
I'm just gonna, but you're suggesting it's more than a dance hall / saloon. Is that correct?
I'm suggesting that it possibly could be.
What does that mean?
Given the opportunity.
Yoga, and I don't ever do yoga, but do they do that in dance halls and saloons? I don't know.
Well, the thing is if it's just a big open room, you can convert that room into anything that you see fit, you know. You can bring in, all you really need is a yoga mat and an instructor, and you can do yoga in your living room. So you could do that in definitely a big open room with multiple people. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So when we change the zoning, when we change it, we allow a tremendous number of things. And I don't think any of them are necessarily mutually exclusive.
No, if it's on the list, it's going to run with the land, and it will be permitted in the future.
So there's a lot of things allowable under this zoning.
Correct.
And they're talking about one of the ones that's most usually disliked. Anybody else talking for?
My name is Robert Hofgardner. I live at 19501 East Hefner Road, Luther, Oklahoma. I had just graduated last year in 2016.
Yeah.
Many of my friends, they always loved going out to dance halls and other saloons, but they were all too far away. Some of them even went as far as Oklahoma City because they had nothing to do around here. And if we had that opportunity to put one out here, there would be so many less kids doing bad things, and instead of they'll be going to this dance hall rather than causing trouble or anything like that. Thank you.
Any questions? Okay. Once again, 4.
Hi, my name is Megan Tompkins. I live at 2420 South Haney Road in Choctaw, Oklahoma. Bill is my uncle. Owning a dance hall saloon has been a dream of his since, I was a little kid as far as I can remember. And to answer your question about bringing yoga into an environment that's kind of seen more as a saloon-type atmosphere, I'm very into fitness, and I know other people who are fitness instructors that they actually bring, there's a certain type of exercise called Pound Fit, and they bring them into bars in Oklahoma City where they do an event called Pound and Pour, where it's, you do the event, you do the exercise, and then you get a beer afterwards. So things like that are, can most definitely be there and be profitable for his bar. He's a great man and deserves to have his dreams come true. He's more than capable of having a safe business that operates according to the rules and regulations that will be placed before him. And this will also be another place that can enhance the community around them and make the town grow together. I think that's really what he's trying to do, is just create a happy place for people to be able to go to kind of get away from the struggles of life and come together as one big community. So, thank you.
Any questions? Thank you very much. Once again, 4. Is there anyone now who would like to speak against this proposition? Once again, your name and address, please.
Sure.
John Dorman, attorney at law, P.O. Box 2621, Stillwater, Oklahoma. And for the record, I am an adjoining property owner. I am one of the owners of the property that is immediately adjacent to the south. We own the mile between Luther Road and Peebly Road, and then we also own property about a quarter of a mile west of there, which is in the path of the turnpike. And I opposed this back in January when it first came up, and I think as Commissioner Martin pointed out, nothing's really changed here. This is the same application. It is an application for a comprehensive rezoning to one of your most intensive uses. There's only one other use in your zoning book that is more intensive than this, and that is industrial. It's not a planned unit development, so there's no way to place any of these restrictions, as I think the chair has pointed out. And this is the most intensive use within or in the context of the CG zoning. A saloon, dance hall, bar, that's a lot of stuff. I'm not going to go through everything. I don't think that we necessarily need to do that. I mentioned the other day that if you put this in, you will surround the properties right here with two very intensive uses. Because remember, this one is going to happen. And it's my understanding it will happen within the next 2 years. His property, according to the alignment that I was given last week by the engineers, is a little more than a quarter, well actually it's more than a quarter of a mile, it's about 1,800 feet from the right-of-way line, just this line right here, not the actual structure itself. The structure itself is actually moving further west than we had first anticipated. So basically all of those properties in between there, if you grant this zoning, will be locked between two very intensive uses. The residents can listen to the turnpike all day, and they can listen to the music all night. So it's not a good situation for them. Coming from Stillwater, I can tell you that bars out in the county, that's not necessarily a good thing. We have a place called the Tumbleweed. Some of you have probably been there. It is a problem. I mean, I will tell you that the impacts that it causes are not just on the adjoining property owners. I mean, when you have a bar, you have noise, you have traffic, you have trash, drunk drivers, all of that kind of stuff. It's all there, and you can control for it however you want, but in the end, it happens. But the impacts go beyond that. The county sheriff's office has to patrol this area. They're broke, just like everybody else. That's a big impact on them. And so if they can't cover it, guess who gets to cover it? Jones goes out there, Luther, Harris. So you're burdening them as well. So this burden is not just on those properties owners, it's on the communities, on the county also. And that's a problem. And I can tell you that on Monday morning we get a big stack of arrest reports from the Tumbleweed. And it's not even in Stillwater city limits. But our officers have to go out there and take care of things because the county can't get to it. It is a problem. One of the things that we didn't really talk about last time was stormwater management. And you do have to take that into account because this parcel, I don't know if anybody's actually been out there to look, but it's on a slope. And it's very heavily forested. So you're going to have to remove a whole lot of timber. And when you do that, you're going to have to deal with the sedimentation. It's a 10-acre site. If he puts a hotel and a dance hall and he puts the parking out there and everything else, there's no room left to put any kind of compensatory storage. Where is the runoff going to go? You have to be cognizant of that because I believe that the county is responsible for the stormwater management in that area. So that's something you need to keep in mind. Negative impact on property values. Not only will it devalue the properties that are already there, but it will impede development of any other types of residential uses in that area. So, and from a selfish viewpoint, if we decide to develop the property across the road as residential, that's probably going to be a non-starter with a bar across the street. He mentioned before when he was here, this was a speculative purchase. Purchase this property after the alignment was done. This is not a situation where you have a property owner that's being impacted by a turnpike that has to make some adjustments. Those people that live in the homes in between there, some of them have been there for 20 years. We've ranched this property for 60 years. We have to adapt. We may have to make some changes in how we use the property. But this guy's coming in and buying this property, and he's looking to cash in. So that's what's going on here. I agree with the district attorney. Spot zoning is very real here, particularly if you consider the intensity of the uses that are allowed. I mean, you're talking about, again, 50-plus uses that are not really compatible with agricultural and, more importantly, residential-type uses. And so there's not really any effective way to buffering. You know, when you look at traditional Euclidean zoning practices, what you work towards is transition and you work towards continuity. And you don't have that in this instance here. You basically are going to drop a big intensive use in the middle of a whole bunch of uses that are less so, and it's going to create problems. The comprehensive plan, again, I agree with the district attorney. This isn't allowed in the comprehensive plan right now. So this is not a use that you can do. I do agree with her that I think that we do need to look at the plan through this area because it is going to change. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's not, because it is. And, I mean, quite frankly, I may very well be out here myself. That's actually what I thought was going to happen this time, or next time, is that we would be up here talking to you about something else. But it is going to change. And in that context, I don't begrudge him some kind of commercial use. I think that, you know, convenience stores, things like that, he can get a return for his investment out there. But this is too much. It's too much for the area. It's too much to ask to the communities and for the county and for the residents. And I would respectfully request that you reject this application. Thank you.
Any questions, please? Thank you very much. Oh, wait.
Well,
answer his, do the rebuttal.
Mr. Dorman has nobody living on that place. The only thing we're going to do is entertain his cows at night, because there's no neighbors across there. There's not no neighbors for 2 miles on his side of the road. And as far as the county sheriffs, they sit at Britton and Luther, which is a quarter mile from my place, probably 4 nights out of the week, watching for people running Britton Road and Luther Road, you know, stops and stuff. And you know, it's kind of like, if a place doesn't grow, it's going to stagnate and die. Jones has tried to annex that in sometimes last year because they're dying. Well, I asked them would they let me put a fireworks stand there, and they said no. So I voted against going in with them to, you know, be annexed in. But, you know, if you don't grow, you're going to die. So, you know, if I put a business in there, there's going to be tax revenue for somebody. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak against? If so, give your name, please, and address.
My name is Jawaza Henderson, and my husband and I we own the property directly to the north of him, 10 acres. Let me start off by saying, to say that there is not a bar and saloon in the area is an outright lie. Jones and Jones, Britton and Hiwassee, it's a pool and a bar saloon right across the street from a gas station. So there is a bar and a saloon in that area, maybe about 6 miles from there. That's not a long way. I am raising 4 kids on that property, 2 boys and 2 girls. I don't know a lot of people that would want their kids catching a bus next door to a bar. How am I going to let my girls ride up and down that road that we pay taxes for every month? How can I feel safe with them? I can't send them outside knowing that just a couple hundred feet away there are people getting drunk. Okay, we bought this property in hopes of raising our children and our grandchildren on this property. Again, a bar, saloon, that's going to bring crime. And I see he's already, you know, brought in the concrete barriers and all that. But it is quite frustrating to be raising a family. And again, I don't know anyone that's going to be cool with raising their family a couple of hundred feet from a bar. My children walk to the bus stop every morning, and it's right on the corner of, Ridge Road and Brittany. The bus stop is right here. That's
And your property is,
my property is right here.
so they walk down that road
Yes, they have to come all the way down, my house is right there, and walk all the way down and go.
to catch the bus? Okay.
And,
Are there other kids that walk that same route?
yes, directly across the road from us, they have two children that ride the bus. They go to school with my children. My oldest daughter's best friends with one of them.
Okay.
But it's really disheartening to you move out. That's why we moved to the country, because there was nothing out there. That's why most people move to the country. You raise your family in peace and quiet, and you have a peace of mind in knowing that they can go outside and play and not be in the house on video games. I'm still trying to understand how a bar and a saloon is going to benefit children. How is that going to benefit a family? I don't see that. Again, you know, I'm sorry. I'm kind of frustrated. I've just had major back surgery a couple months ago. I've been up here twice. My husband has to take off work. If his truck is not moving, we don't get paid. I kind of feel like this is digging into our livelihood. We planned on planting and having cows. I feel like our world is getting flipped upside down, in my opinion, for greed. Because the community could stand a lot of things. They could use a lot of things. A church, you know, a shelter, something that helps homeless people, but a bar is not beneficial in that community. Not at all. Not right now. That's all I have to say.
Any questions?
I've got some questions. You mentioned that some concrete barriers have gone up. Can you show us on the map what you're talking about?
Yeah, going down River Road, you turn here, and the concrete barriers are probably about 50 feet. Almost directly across from the neighbor's property. So, and then I'm concerned with the lights, the noise. Again, that's why you move to the country, for peace and quiet. You know, but I don't know. It's just, in my opinion, it's very draining for me right now.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. We appreciate your concern.
Okay, she mentioned a bar that's 6 miles away in Jones. It's probably about as big as, I don't know, maybe the back of the area back there. Probably a 40 by 50 bar top, something like this right here. Dance floor? No dance floor. That's the main problem is to have people come out and go dancing. Her children being safe. How many bars are open at 8 o'clock in the morning? There wouldn't be nobody there. Nobody does, harass their children or mess with their children. And if there were, there would be security there to make sure nothing happens. That should be more security for her kids. As far as the barricades, I just set them out there. They're not to block the road, and like I said, they're like you'd see on the highway somewhere. No, they're 4 by 2, 2 foot tall concrete deals that you put down. This year I was going to put in front of my bar to keep, if somebody hit the wrong gear or something like that, didn't run through the bar or something like this right here to keep my people inside safe. But barricades are not there to, intimidate people or to block the road or nothing like that.
Can you show us where the barricades are?
Well, they're actually right now there's 12 of them, and they're stacked in my front corner. I got a driveway right through here somewhere, and they're just stacked right here in the corner by the fence.
How far, show me any commercial properties that's close. How close is the next commercial property to you?
Well, the next commercial property that I know of would be the dollar store, which is 2 miles away.
So all of the around your property being residential?
Yes, sir, or agricultural.
Or agricultural.
And actually, I believe there's only like 4 or 5 families to the north of me.
And when did you acquire
When did you acquire your property?
I bought it in April of 16.
After the Turnpike Authority had already decided to come through there?
That was, I could have bought 40 acres. I paid $67,000 my 10 acres where I'm at, but I could have bought 40 acres for $113,000 just a mile down the road, but I didn't like the location. That's why, the Turnpike was not on my mind when this happened. And it was the first thing, it was the best location I could find for what I wanted to do. I don't want to say, okay, you come down Britain Road.
Right, but you purchased it April 2016?
Yes.
Okay.
Any more comments against this proposition?
How's it going? My name is Kevin Henderson. I stay at 9550 Ridge Road, Jones, Oklahoma, in the city of Jones. Me and my wife stay right next to the north of where it's at right there. And we stay right there. Everybody else is talking, don't stay right there. So they're not concerned of the concern that we have for a bar, saloon being right there. Now, I understand you want to party and dance around, that's fine. But we moved out there to raise a family, and the nearest part to go and party and have fun, you go to the city, or you go to a surrounding town and have a bar saloon. Jones's Bar and Saloon that they got right there, their little bar they have, that's fine that it's a bar right there, but they got the police of Jones policing that. So that's why, and they got drunks, excuse my language, but drunkards or whatever, walking up and down through Jones all the time. Now, that guy's not going to be concerned about that. He just wants to sell the alcohol to them, so they come in and go out. When that gets out there, if it's a major facility and people out there drinking and having fun and doing everything all night or whatever time of the day, when it's time to go home, ain't nobody going to let them tell him, you can't go, you can't leave. They're going to get in their car and they're going to drive away into the night. And so around that whole area, all four ways is nothing but hills. I think about concern of people and their families driving up and down that road at night, going over a hill, and a drunk person runs into them head on and kills a family of 4 or 5, whoever. That stuff right there, it does not need to happen in that area. And it's so far away, and it's so far away from the turnpike. He wants to do a motel over there or whatever. From I-40 to the 44 extension of the turnpike that's going to be connecting to, there's motels all in between those areas. I drive trucks, so when I drive down turnpikes, you look at motels, they're right off the turnpike. So if I'm tired, I'm gonna pull off, I go right into the motel. The people have to drive all the way down the road, and if they're not really looking for that, from I-40 to there, you're not going to be tired and sleepy from that little bit of a distance to be worried about a motel. So I think of the motel as more like people in the community wanting to go stay there. Now, I'm from the city. I moved out to the country to get away from the city. I know what happens in small motels that's not policed. That's going to turn, we're in the meth capital of the world. That's going to turn into a meth hangout. I know. I see it all the time, and like anybody know, Eastern Oklahoma, it's meth out. It don't matter how you think about it. You could puff and say that's not true. It's perfectly well true. The statistics are there. Look at news every night. We're getting busted. People getting busted all up and down the east. So I know. I just don't think that's a good place to put a family, to be in a family neighborhood, to put something that strenuous right there, non-policed. Yeah, it might be a few police at the end of the block every now and again. We see them every now and again. But we take care of our own out there. And I really don't want to be taking care of my own out there when we're not bothered by anybody. You don't have to worry about none of that. You might see the sheriff come through. It's good to know that he's there, but that's going to make them have to stress and be there even more. But like he said, like the other guy said, the state is pretty broke. I hear him on TV every night talking about we can't do this, we can't police these areas. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And that's just gonna be more of what are we gonna do in the middle of nowhere. So that's all I really have to say. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, he's against, having the hotels out there. What would you rather do? Have a bunch of drunks spend the night in a hotel or drive home? And if the bar's not there, they're gonna go to the city, get drunk and drive all the way from the city home. So it makes more sense to have the hotel right there. If they're inebriated, you can't drive home, they can stay the night there and be safe. The community be safe, the highways be safe, and stuff like that. A lot of people I know get drunk at the bar in the city and drive all the way home. So they're driving 28, 30 miles to get home, where they could be 5 miles from home if my bar is in place.
Is it Hofgardner?
Hofgardner.
I'm just curious. These people that were living there several years prior to you purchasing this land, correct?
There was a trailer house there. I don't know if anybody
No,
ever
no,
lived
no,
in
no, no. All those other parcels, like the gentleman behind you,
Mhm.
did he just move out there?
Oh, he'd been out there for a while.
How about the people to
But
the...
there is a...
Well, wait a minute.
Go ahead.
All the different parcels around you, haven't people owned those for at least the past 10 years? I mean,
don't really know. I know I had a good friend who lived down that road, and they moved out
Okay.
probably about 4 years ago.
you remember the last time we had this meeting,
Mhm.
all the property owners were notified, and several of them showed up
Yes, sir.
that adjoin you,
Mhm.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did it ever dawn on you that prior to wanting to do this, that your neighbors might have a problem with it?
Well, I assume there'd be some people that, not happy with it.
We hadn't found any that are next door to it that like it. I understand the concerns about the need for recreation and addressing, working with young kids in Luther and Jones and Eastern Oklahoma County. But I was just curious if it ever dawned on you, since all these people have had houses out there for years, raising families, when you come in April of last year and acquire this property and think that it was just going to be a slam dunk, that we're going to now have a dance hall saloon. Did you really think that was going to happen?
Well, I mean, there's no place out there for people to go dancing, so, I mean, if these guys here was in the dancing mood, they could walk to the dance hall. I mean, I didn't go by and question everybody to find out, hey, how you like a dance hall out here, or would you come to it if we had one? Questions like this right here.
That's all.
Anybody else to speak against this proposition? Is there any other discussion? Certainly. Give your name again, please.
My name is Hannah Banks, Choctaw, Oklahoma. And forgive me, the turnpike is coming in. I don't imagine they asked a whole lot of people if they could go through their properties. Multiple people have agreed that this area is going to develop over the next 5 years. It's going to happen, whether the neighbors like it or not. Nobody likes the turnpike out there. I'm in Choctaw, it's coming through our area as well. So, I really think, it's either, now or later kind of thing. He worked his whole life. This is his dream. I understand that it could implement these other families, but at some point, other things are going to come in and implement them as well. So, thank you.
I agree with you. Economic development is coming. It's coming. Location, location, location. I have reservations about the location compared to the people that have been there for a while. Believe me, I know the children need something to do. That's the voice of experience of 34 years of education. And we need to have things for our kids to do. I'm just not sure this is the place to have it. development, yes, open your saloons up. I'm just not sure that it belongs in this area. I have a reservation about it.
There's one other thing, is when we change this zoning, we change it forever. I mean, the zoning change goes with the property, regardless of whoever owns it. And if they would like to change the atmosphere or something like that, once we have changed the zoning, not a whole lot we could do about this. I mean, they have to apply for a permit and everything else, but there's a large number of things that can go on if we change the zoning this way. Hold on. Okay, if there is no other discussion, do I have a motion to approve or deny the, let me get back to it. Approve or deny agenda item number 8. Zoning change from AA, agriculture and rural residential, to CG, urban general commercial and office district. That's either to approve or deny.
I'm gonna make a comment and then make a motion. Didn't we talk about, when this issue came up 90 days ago, everyone is in agreement that the landscape of the area around the eastern Oklahoma County Turnpike is going to change dramatically. I think you would agree. We discussed that. And I think, Gretchen, there was talk about taking a look at some master planning, correct?
Correct. I think that what you want to do when you know something like this is happening and you realize it's going to change the use and compatibility throughout a large area of land, it would be wise to revisit your master plan and figure out where you want your commercial, where you want your residential, where you want your transitional, and what makes sense. That, in essence, lays it out for people who want to come in and develop, and they can see what the county anticipates and wishes. There's a lot of opportunity, as I recall, for the general public to attend meetings regarding the master plan and give their input known, and whether the community would like to see hotels along the new turnpike, or they would prefer to see shopping centers along the new turnpike. Also, I'm not sure at this point, because I have nothing to do with this turnpike at all, is whether or not its actual location has been finalized, because that would play a big part in your master plan. But the spot zoning, especially when you hit commercial, can really directly affect future zoning questions. But ultimately, at this point, I think what the board's focus would be on is whether or not the proposed use is compatible with the surrounding neighborhood.
Correct. Mr. Harpengartner, my concern is this is a little premature. I mean, I think everyone recognizes there's going to be development, commercial development in that area. But I must tell you, the other property owners around you who have opposed this in the past, I don't think the opposition is based upon the incompatibility of what you're wanting to do with what this last gentleman is here speaking about, raising a family. And so with that, and I don't know where we're going to go with regard, at some point we have to find out what the final alignment is and then address the master plan issues, correct, Gretchen?
Yes, Eric has been working on the master plan, and he could probably give you more input on the time frame, whether or not they know where this highway is actually going to be put, because it affects their planning a great deal.
You had a motion.
Well, I've got a motion, and I move that we deny the, item, 8, the, request for zoning change.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll make a second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Yeah, come on up here so we can all hear you.
Well, excuse me, I have to.
Mark.
This is just out of my own. My name's Natalie Farmer. Out of my own curiosity, if to get that zone there, if he would have just came in and said, I'm going to do a daycare center there, would that have made a difference as far as like just having it commercialized?
No.
It wouldn't have made any
No,
difference whatsoever?
what he is asking for allows for over 50, I think, different things that people like or dislike. Now, if what happens, and I'm not necessarily suggesting you do that, but when we talk here, we talk about a PUD, a planned unit development that limits very strictly what the owners can do. And when they change hands with the land, that's all that can be done on the land.
Okay.
See, when you change hands with what you've requested, Katie, borrow the door.
Okay, I see what I just want to make for future references, you know, how that all works, because I didn't know that. All right.
Have you read the list of things that can be placed on that?
No, this is all a last minute deal for me to be here, so I didn't have time, but that was just out of my own curiosity to know if that made a difference or not.
There's a list of the
You're
50.
welcome to my list, or,
You got it handy? I'll grab it.
I don't know where mine is.
Here's mine.
All right.
Here you go.
Tyler?
Okay, I was just wondering,
Well, no, but then you get it back so everybody sees it. I mean, we're trying to be an open communication here, that we talk to about it. I must also say that what we're doing, and all this you've heard us, is we're recommending to the County Board of Commissioners. That is their decision. We have on occasion been overridden, but usually we're the fact-finding group. And we give them a decision, they in fact act on it, you have a chance to still talk to them if it goes against you, either side.
right,
And, or you can come back with a different idea. Okay?
I got you. All right, thank you.
But I have a motion and a second, and I now, any more questions? And we need to have a roll call, please.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Benson?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Thank you for your input. We've listened to you, and I've tried to explain what goes on from here.
Yeah. What goes on from here is that we would prepare a resolution by the Planning Commission to the Board of County Commissioners, and they will make the final decision at their meeting.
And had Mr. Commissioner Bond been here, he would have told you when that, and he would have spoke to some of that too.
Yeah. Usually within 2 weeks of this meeting.
But that's the final action, that's the legal action. We're now moving to, agenda number 9, discussion and possible action to approve, deny a special use permit, SUP 2017-01, Fireworks Center 25 LLC.
Yes, this is the annual renewal of a special use permit. That's all allowed by the statute, where they can sell fireworks in a facility. This facility is located on Northeast 50th and I-35, I believe, and it's a requirement that they come every year and ask for renewal. We've had no negative actions out there, and things seems to be going real well out there. The applicant is just...
That's at the northeast corner, where you see the
big sign, yeah.
big bright cat?
Yeah.
Southeast corner.
Yeah.
Is it south?
That intersection.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got you.
Okay, and we do have a staff report here.
Yeah, basically, it just outlines, what's been going on for the last 3 or 4 years now, I believe they've been there.
I move we, approve.
Well, look.
Oh, we need a motion? Okay.
Well, look, might have somebody who wants to speak for or against.
Oh, okay.
We wouldn't want to make them think that this was not an open meeting, that we'd already decided.
Somebody's gonna be against fireworks.
Good afternoon. My name's Kent Herzog, and I'm here on behalf of Fireworks Center 25. We've been at this location since 2003, and we're on the southeast corner of Northeast 50th and I-35. Several years back, in 2011, the state statute changed where manufacturers, wholesalers, and distributors in the state of Oklahoma could be open year-round. At that point, we approached this planning commission and asked for the same circumstances to apply. And at that time, we were informed that we would need to apply for, with this board, a special use permit, and we have been doing that since that time. That's not all that we do there. We do Halloween and we sell flowers there, but we ship products, fireworks products, not just fireworks, but wedding sparklers and gender reveal items out daily from that location. And that's why we are applying for this particular permit. Thank you. We would appreciate this board's consideration to accept renewing this permit for this particular special use permit for another year period. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone to speak in opposition to this? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve or deny the special use permit SUP 2017-01.
I move.
There's a move for approval. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Benson?
Yes.
And Mr. Martin?
Yes.
We're now to item number 10. Discussion and possible action to approve, deny the general plat of Council Meadows, that's an I, right? GP 2017-03.
Yes, actually, item 10 and 11 are compatible
Yes.
items there. Number 10 is just to show you the general plat, what they were asking for. It's a small subdivision, residential subdivision. And the 11 is the preliminary plat of that subdivision. There are no roads to be built, or any portion of that. It's just a small division of land.
Are there any questions of staff? I know we have a large agenda. Is everybody caught up to what pages we're on and what the locations are? Would anyone like to speak for this proposition, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the Commission, Ernie Ish, MAPCO Engineering. I have John Patterson, one of the owners, with me. We've read the staff report. We'd be glad to answer any questions. We ask for your approval.
Any questions of Mr. Ish?
I have a question for you, sir, for the engineer. Looking at lot 3 and 5, the dark spot, is that a water problem there?
That's an existing terrace. It'll probably be removed as a home is built on that property, but drainage will all be handled on site,
Okay.
just as it drains now.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Would there anybody be anyone here who would like to speak against this proposal? Is there any more discussion? Then I'll entertain a motion to approve or deny. This is item just 10.
I'll make a motion we approve item number 10, GP 2017-03.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Benson?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
We now go to item 11, which is discussion possible action to approve or not deny the preliminary plat of Council Meadows, PP 2017-03, and that's what we've just seen and looking at. Staff, any additional?
No, no additional. What's required, preliminary plat.
Or is there any questions for our developer? Is there anyone here to speak against this? Then I would entertain a motion to approve or deny.
I'll make a motion that we approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Benson?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
We're now to item number 12, discussion and possible action to receive the May 2017 fee fund report, which you'll find in your binder.
It's routine, pretty much close to what last month was.
Are there any questions?
I move that we approve receiving the fee fund, what is it, fee fund report?
Receive.
Pardon?
Receive.
Yeah, he said receive.
Receive.
Oh, it said approve.
That we receive the fee fund report.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie? Mr. Benson?
Yes.
And Mr. Martin?
Yes.
We now go to item number 13, which is new business, which is business that can not have possibly been thought of prior to this meeting. Is there any new business?
I have none.
You have none or one?
None.
Okay.
None, sorry.
I thought I heard one, and you had me going there. Okay, item 14, adjournment. We kind of have a motion.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Roll call?
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Benson?
Yes.
And Mr. Martin?
Yes.
We're adjourned.
Mr. Benson, I have some,
Papers for me to sign.
yes, I have a huge document.